Okay, let me go set it up here. All right, everyone, what is up? Sorry for that little short delay while I figured out the technical difficulties. It looks like, yeah, it's working. Okay. So it's good to be back, first and foremost. I know we missed a few weeks here together, and I had a few things to do, and it got caught up a little bit. But long story short, the perfect time to get back together is now. I do have a new talk I am excited to share with you today that is on a topic that is talked about often, but nobody knows what the hell people are talking about. And that topic is this thing called your purpose in life, your why in life, like the meaning of your life. It's so kind of cliche that they say, well, you got to find a purpose. But so many human beings walk around this flying rock, this planet Earth, without a purpose, without a reason, without a why. And oftentimes, correct me if I'm wrong, do you potentially feel lost? Potentially feel like, what's the point of this all? And so my hope for today's conversation is to be able to not only help you find your why, but to understand why your purpose, why your meaning is even important in the first place. So all that being said, if you're new here for the first time, I want to say welcome. My name is Param. I do this frequently on Saturdays. I wish I could say every Saturday, but hasn't been the case, but most Saturdays. And it lasts anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes. And it's usually on various topics that will help you go from where you are in life to where you want to be. I like to call that kind of personal development, mindset development. If you've ever had any challenges or struggles with things like addiction, mental illness, trauma, grief, and loss, these kind of conversations are not only beneficial, but I think needed to help you change your narrative, to change your story, to change your identity, to go from one version of life to another version of life. So I do have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I'm licensed as an addictions counselor specialist. I teach at a local community college called Saddleback Community College. I got 2 classes this semester. And hopefully my goal is by spring of this upcoming year to become a full-time faculty member there. I'm in the application pool, but I'll work my way to get to the top. I coach high school basketball, pretty part-time-ish, but for Aliso Niguel High School varsity boys basketball. And I am in this recovery transformation world myself also. So June 13th of 2008 is the day that I said, I can't live my life the way it's being lived. I have to do something different. I can't engage with these substances. I can't engage with these behaviors. I can't engage with this mindset that I have. I have to live at a higher vibration, at a cleaner way of life, in a way that I see the world for what it is, not what my distortions and what my mental health challenges are telling me it is. So my hope is that I have the personal background, the professional background, the expertise to add a little bit of value to your Saturday morning. And here we go. So good morning to everyone saying good morning. This is interactive. I can put up anything that people say on the board. I think you can see them. Yep, you can pop them up. So let's get right into it. And again, today we're talking about 10 tips to help you find your purpose in life. And so I told you I'm going to tell you why it's important in the first place. And here it is. The purpose of a human being is probably the single most important element and distinguishing factor in living a life that is full of peace, content, joy, satisfaction, love, compassion, empathy, grace, versus a life that is full of frustration, agitation, unmet expectations, resentment, bitterness, fatigue, laziness. I mean, just compare those 2 worlds together. And if I told you finding your purpose can help you experience this world versus this world, I cannot see why you wouldn't want to know the rest of this talk. It's so freaking important. So here we go. The first thing, the number one, is to be able to understand the importance of self-reflection. Okay. And for each one of these things, I have a really beautiful curated quote that I found from someone much smarter than myself. And for this one, the importance of self-reflection, I found someone by the name of Carl Jung. If you don't know who he is, I'm a psychology dork. He's a psychology mega dork. So I look up to people like that. And here's the quote that I found for him when it comes to self-reflection. He says, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Okay. So just hearing what I just said right there, I really want to get into that last part. You ready? It says, who looks outside dreams? The person that looks outside is a dreamer. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be a dreamer, but they look outside and they say, if only I had that car, if only I had that house, if only I had that relationship, if only I had that body, if only I had those clothes, if only I had that dog, if only I had whatever's outside, then I'm going to be happy. That's the dream. But how many people do that? And when they obtain it, realize that it was the furthest thing from. All it was a momentary spike in happiness. But those who look inside to their values, to the character, to the things that are important to them, to their deeper meaning of the word self, they awaken, they wake the heck up and realize I don't need all that stuff to find my purpose. That stuff, if anything, distracts you from your purpose, right? So my goal with this first one is to openly invite you to start looking within, to awaken that part of you that's asleep, that's been fooled by others in society and keeping up with the Joneses, that you're supposed to live a certain life to be happy. I mean, if that was the case, wouldn't all the people that are keeping up with the Joneses be the happiest people alive? Well, go talk to your neighbors. Ask them about their happiness. So the next one that we have here is something called aligning. And good morning to everyone saying good morning in the chat. This next one is aligning purpose with your passions and your strengths. So I'm really big on pursuing your strengths in life, because I believe when we pursue our weaknesses to strengthen our weaknesses, it doesn't do anything. So if you've been on these talks before, you've heard me say the following. If you're new, I want you to hear this. Our society has something totally messed up. When someone, let's just say a little student in class, is really struggling with math, like they can't figure out the numbers, that it's too complex, it's confusing them, and they end up getting a 3 out of 10 on their test, a 30%. Well, the teacher identifies this person as, oh, this is a struggling student. This person needs help in the mathematics area. This kid cannot do multiplications and divisions, and he can't figure out what these exponents are, and he doesn't even understand geometry. He doesn't understand, God knows, trigonometry. So this kid's going to struggle in life. So they put all their mental faculties in this kid to help this little kid go from a 3 to maybe like a 5 or a 6 or like a 7 at best, right? To raise it that much. And even if the kid gets to a 7, it's still like a 70%. And guess what? 70% is still average. Nobody cares about average. Well, you're averagely good at math. Like, what does that even mean? Like, would you ever go to a restaurant that the food was just average? Would you watch a movie that's just average? Would you date a person that's just average? No, man, we want good stuff in life. So that same kid might be super talented in writing, literature, English, or really good at like creative arts, drawing, that kind of stuff, music. And he got like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Now go double down and triple down and give everything you got to that kid's strengths, because that strength might become a 10 out of 10. And guess what? That's exceptional. And guess what? People love exceptional. I want an exceptional dinner. I want an exceptional movie, exceptional relationship. Exceptional is good. It only comes from working on your strengths. So when you align your strengths with your passions, that's where the magic happens. And I got a quote from Miss Oprah Winfrey, which I love. It says, passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. See, when I do stuff like this, or when I do the things that really excite me, I don't need an energy drink. I don't need caffeine. I don't need nothing. It just comes. I don't care how tired I am. I just wake up and I start going. And you are the same way with certain things in your life, or at least you were the same way with certain things in your life before you let the dream of the external stuff take over. Do things that create energy. Passion creates. Passion creates, man. It creates this life force of energy and enthusiasm and motivation to get things done. So good morning, everyone. Who's it? Jim over there, Hossein over there. What's up, guys? So the next one that we have here is listen. I like this one a lot. And it says, listen to your inner voice, not society's expectations. Now, some of the parents watching this that have children and the parent is expecting their kid to become an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. I'm going to say something to you that you might not like. If your kid does not want to become an engineer or a doctor and a lawyer, do not push them down that path, because they will resent you and resent the fact that they lost their dream for the rest of their life. And don't tell me you don't better for other people than they don't for themselves. The only reason why we think we do is because we're projecting our own stuff onto someone else, because we think that if we were a doctor, if we were a lawyer, if we were an engineer, then our life would have been better. No two human beings are the same. You know, and I tell everybody I talk to, when you sit down in life, don't think about what expectations society puts. Don't think what your parents think, your spouse thinks, and what you should think of what your heart says, and then talk to them about it. I'm not saying do it like covertly. Say, hey, I appreciate you telling me X, Y, and Z, but this is why I believe I'm going to follow this inner voice that's telling me, that's compelling me, that's drawing me towards this. Stand up for your beliefs. Stand up for what you want to do in life. We only get one freaking life. How do you want to live it? Right? So the quote I found here is from somebody who understands this at a very high clip, in the words of the youngins, at a very, he really understands this, has a mastery of comprehension when it comes to this next statement for the more literary sound people. The high clip and a mastery of literary. It's so funny. English is a funny language. So here we go. It's from Mr. Steve Jobs. You might not like him. I love him. Rest in peace. Thank you for your ingenuity and creativity and your visionary thoughts and beliefs. But he says, don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Doesn't that happen to so many human beings? They got this inner voice that's telling them, hey, you really love art. You really love music. You really love animals. You really love working with your hands. You really love, just painting. Maybe you should pursue it. And all of a sudden society's like, no, man, an artist, struggling artist, a musician, struggling musician, a vet, someone that works with animals. Come on, you can't make some real money doing that. Painter, I mean, that's a manual labor job. That's beneath you, Those opinions are toxic, and by the way, society is so messed up. They tell you, hey, you could be whoever you want to be, until you tell them who you want to be. And they say, no, not that though. They say you can date or be with whoever you want to be. And you tell them, I fell in love with this person. Oh, no, not that person though. Man, society is a joke. And the reason why it's a joke, I'm not saying people in society are a joke. Don't get offended. Society is a joke because it has these man-made kind of a constructive expectations and timelines and settings that aren't even based in reality. They have like these timelines that are subjective that say you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z at X, Y, and Z time. But that timeline doesn't consider or put into consideration, right, this fact that all of us have different life experiences. Like if you had the perfect home and the perfect mom and dad and the perfect financial situation and the perfect place that you were born that had opportunity and the perfect means and resources to access the support you needed, maybe you can get that high school diploma at 18. Maybe you go to your dream college and get that 22-year-old bachelor's degree. Maybe you take a year and go abroad and go check out Europe and really explore the world and come back here and say, you know what, it's time for me to do a master's degree and get your MBA by the age of 26. Maybe in your master's program or when you were lucky enough to be in Europe, you found your significant other and it was just perfect timing, same place, same time. You met and you fell in love and you come back and right out of graduate school, you get this job working in a corporate place that you have the opportunity to work your way up a corporate ladder while at the same time enriching your relationship with your spouse and going back to that same place in Europe that you guys met and proposing underneath some man-made tower that's supposed to be really famous. And coming back here by 30 years old, you've worked so hard and you've had family support to help you put down your first down payment of your house. And it's this beautiful house, white picket fence. And before you even move in, oh my gosh, the wife is pregnant. You're building your family and you continue to work your way up this corporate ladder. By the age of 35, you're the youngest executive of this company. Your spouse gets to work part-time, but also take care of the family. And you continue moving forward in this beautiful journey of life until one day your children, they have children, and you get a house right next to each other. Now your grandkids are right there and you're right there, and you grow old and do all the things for your grandkids that you couldn't do for your kids because now you're a grandparent. And eventually you go off and live a beautiful life in heaven, right? That's the story of society. So that's what we compare ourselves with, right? But now we got other human beings. They're born and raised somewhere that all of a sudden dad just left. Mom's a single mom. She's grinding. She's working her butt off 2 jobs just to put food on the table. Or mom left. Dad's a single dad working his butt off just to put food on the table. You got to move from place to place because the rent's expensive and the landlord kicks you out. And all of a sudden, one of the places you go to, you're susceptible. You get exposed to some asshole, some idiot that abuses you and impacts the rest of your life at a young age. And you eat that and you say, it's not going to bother me. And you keep moving forward and you feel so uncomfortable and so scared and you don't want to be a burden in anyone's life. And all of a sudden, one day you pick up this alcohol, you pick up this weed, you drink it. And it's like, oh my God, I finally feel normal. And it doesn't allow you to help finish graduate high school. And all of a sudden you're out and about, lost in this world. You're 22, you're 24, you're 26. You don't know what's going on. You're in and out of effed up relationships. You're constantly getting hurt. You're experiencing this toxic world. By the time 30 comes around, you look around and say, what the hell's happening? What happened to that society dream that I just shared with you guys? Why does my life not look that way? And people just feel like failures. But here's the thing. What if that timeline failed us? What if that timeline isn't real? That timeline doesn't put into your own individual characteristics of who you are, what you've endured, what you've experienced in life. Your individuality matters, right? It matters. So listen to your own inner voice. F the rest of the stuff. That inner voice is where it's at. It's where it's at. So the next one we have here. Yep. Thanks, Jim. Expectations will destroy your well-being. You like that societal expectation? Long-winded analogy I had. I kind of liked it. I was halfway through it. I was pretty proud of myself. So the next one we have here is don't wait for perfection. Do not wait for perfection, my friends. And here's the reason why. Because it's a mirage. It's a ruse. It doesn't exist. The quote that I have for you comes from the Chinese, and it's a Chinese proverb that says the following. The best time to plant a tree, my friends, was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is now. Okay? So as a clinician, I've sat with people that have all these things called regrets. They have all these, I wish I would have, I wish I could, I wish I should have, could have, would have. But guess what? You can now. Why not now? Well, it's been so long now and it passed me by. Well, guess what? 10 years from now, this moment is going to be that moment. And this moment will pass you by the way that one did. Now you can have one pass by or two pass bys. It's up to you. And it's never late to start. Start with what you have, where you are, with what you got, and get moving. Just get moving. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Are you trying to make progress in your life? Then let go of that perfectionism. Are you trying to move forward in various areas in your life, like your health, your mind, your body, your spirit? Then let go of perfectionism because you're never going to tap into it. You're never going to reach it. It is impossible to do so. Impossible. Impossible. Difficult. غير ممكن, in the words of the Persians. So, thank you for that sidebar. Now, the next one we have here is something called taking action, purpose through doing. I love this next quote. It's by a man named Zig Ziglar. If you don't know who Zig Ziglar is, it's a personal development, motivational speaker from, we call it back in the day. And he's hilarious. He comes from a really small town and he's got this really witty way of speaking. And I like him. He's one of the first people I started listening to. I was like, I can get behind this guy. He's kind of cool. But he says you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. A lot of individuals, they're like, well, I can't do it now because I don't have X, Y, Z. I don't know enough. I don't feel comfortable enough. I'm just not good at it, let alone great at it. So I'm not going to start. Well, guess what? Everybody that's ever started anything in life that is now great at it started at one point when they were not great. You look at like a musician that you sit and you envy and you admire and you're like, wow, how did they do that? How do they make that instrument sound the way it does? Well, at some point they were messing around with it and they had no idea what they were doing. Now, some people might pick up things a little faster and all that kind of stuff, and that's okay. But at some point, nobody's great at what they do. But they have to start. And when you start consistently over time, and the key word consistently, and you practice and you practice and you practice and you practice, eventually you become great. And it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen like that. All of a sudden you look back and you say, whoa, I'm in a completely different space, in a completely different place. For example, none of the stuff I'm saying right now outside the bullet points, I have it like written down anywhere. It just comes because I've done it so many times. Now, if I was doing this talk 10 years ago, everything I would be saying to you would be scripted line by line, and I would be so robotic, and I'd be so terrified of missing a sentence or saying it wrong or doing it wrong or not knowing what to say that I lost freedom of expression and I was rigid and I was tense and I was, uncomfortable. Like right now, because of the repetition, I feel like I can do a great talk on things that I don't even have anything written on because of the repetition. Now, if I waited to learn this before I did this, I would have never spoken these past 10, 12, 15 years. So hopefully my example is a sign of what is possible. Now, the next one that we have here is learning from setbacks and challenges. I love setbacks. I love challenges. And if you love them too, chances are that you are doing well in life. But if you're scared of your challenges, if you feel your challenges will break you, if you feel that your challenges are too much, if you feel your challenges are obstacles to your success, you probably aren't doing that well in life. If you feel that setbacks define failure, if you're afraid of doing something because you're going to fail, if you think that a setback defines who you are as a person, then you're probably not doing anything great in life. Because I'll tell you this, setbacks are the setups for comebacks. Embrace your setbacks. In challenges, damn, that's the best thing in life. A challenge forces you to think at a higher level, higher vibration. It forces you to act in a different way. It forces you to do things, engage in life in a different way. Because if you don't, you can't climb above and overcome that challenge. Sometimes that challenge is just perceived. If you don't have a solution for something, you just haven't explored enough perspectives and angles and asked enough people to find a solution. And see what we have for you. Fail forward. Yes, sir. Jim giving us little nuggets. Failing forward. It's a good way to fail. So I have another quote on failure here. It comes from Mr. Henry Ford. And he says, the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. So he doesn't say that like doing something wrong, making a mistake is bad, right? Never said that. And I think some mistakes in life are the best things that could happen to people. However, if you make a mistake and don't learn from it, then you are literally failing at that. Hey, what's up, Christine? We got an old friend in the house. Welcome. I hope you get something from this talk. I know you understand this space. Today, we're talking about 10 tips on how to find your freaking purpose in life. And right now, the one that you just randomly came in on, we're learning from our setbacks and challenges. The quote that I shared was the only real mistake is when we learn nothing. So I am guilty of making mistakes, human being, right? So is everybody else watching this. But when I make a mistake, it's an opportunity. It's a moment for me to decide, will I learn from this or will it truly be a mistake? If it repeats over and over again, then it's truly a mistake. If I learn from it, it could be the best thing that happened to me. It could help me grow mature. It can help me become a better version of myself. It can help me treat others with more love, more respect, treat myself with more love and respect. Because the lessons in life will always repeat themselves until the student, which is you, learns the lesson. So you got to ask yourself, how many lessons do I want to learn? How many times do I want to learn the same damn lesson? If the answer is like, no mas, no more, I'm done, then that mistake is the best thing that could possibly happen to you. So the next one we have here, and feel free to write anything you all want. I will respond to the best of my ability. So the next one that we have here is tapping into intuition and emotional guidance. Ooh, now we're getting like fancy with these stuff. So if you're wondering how your intuition and your emotional guidance can help you in finding your purpose, first I want to talk a little bit about our intuition, also known as our sixth sense. Okay. So I know some individuals don't believe in new age stuff, and they think like some of the hippie stuff is not, based in any reality. Well, let me give you a news flash if that's you. The new age stuff has been around for thousands of years, okay? The human sixth sense, our intuition, has been around for thousands of years. It helped us survive when we were around perceived or real threats. Like if you're walking looking for food for your village and there's an animal behind you and your life is in danger, it would light up without seeing them, and you'd be able to save yourself from potentially dying. Our sixth sense, our intuition, is just as real as our eyesight, as our smell, as our taste, as our feelings. It's all the same. Hearing, it's all the same. So if you're wondering how come your sixth sense isn't activated, how come it's not helping you find your meaning, your purpose, how come it's not speaking to you, how come it's not connected to you, it has less to do with the fact that it doesn't exist and more to do with the fact that you do not properly take care of your stomach. It's like, whoa, where's this guy going? Well, my friends, the second brain of a human being lies within our stomach. If you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Google if you go ask it. It will probably confirm what I just told you. And inside of our second brain that has more nerve endings than this brain that you think is so complicated are things like neurotransmitters like serotonin. You know which one serotonin is? It's the one that makes you feel happy. It's the one that makes you experience joy. It is created inside the gut. So if you're unhappy and sad, it's not like something's wrong with you. It's like something's wrong with the gut. And I'm going to give you a little education here with nutrition without being a nutritionist. So I'm going to say it in a very layman's term way so I don't get in trouble. There's a bunch of millions and millions of little people, little creatures, bacteria, healthy, friendly bacteria living in your gut. Okay. And these little bacteria, they go and they eat gut-friendly foods. Okay. And that's how they thrive. And the more they're in there, the healthier your whole body is, the healthier you feel, the healthier you operate. But when you don't feed healthy bacteria in there, and on the contrary, you start filling it with crap and with junk and with processed stuff and with poison, and you start doing that, guess what happens? These guys need food. And what do creatures do when they're hungry? Well, they got to start eating. So now they start eating the stomach lining. They start eating things they're not supposed to be eating as little gut-eating bacteria. They're not supposed to be eating it, but they're eating it now. And they start to create problems in us because they start seeping out. And now we got bacteria all over our body that now is not contained. And that's where things like autoimmune diseases get created. You're like, whoa, what's this guy talking about? Yeah, the gut health, the intuition. So if in order to be able to do this one that I'm telling you, tapping into your intuition and emotional guidance, you have to first clean the heck out of your stomach. Feed it things that make it work properly. And when you do, guess what? You'll start to be able to get that intuition back. And I got a nice quote by Krishnamurti, which is a nice guru. And he says, intuition is the whisper of the soul. Ooh, I like that. Intuition is the whisper of the soul. So if you can't hear your soul and you can't hear that whisper, you got to check that gut. So the next one that we have here is purpose can be found in everyday life. So if this talk is getting too existential for you or it's too out there, you know what? Find your purpose in everyday life. You want to know what my purpose is? I don't do it perfectly all the time, but over time, you could probably ask 1,000 people and they'll tell you that it's accurate. You can ask a few and they'll probably say no, and that's okay. One day, as a human being, you learn how to make it up to people. But my purpose is to make the world a better place. And here's what that means. every conversation, every interaction, every moment that I engage with this thing called the world and the people of it, my purpose is to make that moment a little bit better. You know, by giving someone a smile when they're not expecting it, by having a conversation with someone and lifting them up, by, you know, leaving wherever I'm at a little bit better than I found it, just make this world a better place. And that doesn't exist somewhere like in this mystical world. It exists in every given moment in life, in the little simple things in life, found in the everyday. And the quote here that I wanted to share with you, because I think it's really powerful, it says, act as if what you do makes a difference. Because it does. Act as if you make a difference, because you do. You know, I was talking with our program participants this morning. A lot of them say, well, what's the point? I don't matter. Nobody cares. It's like, you really don't think you make a difference? And someone, no, I don't. I'm like, go ask somebody that really loves you, that freaking loves you with all their heart. Like, you're their everything. You know, you're their life. Go ask them if you matter or not. They will tell you are the most important thing in their life. So don't tell me you don't matter. You matter to a heck ton, a lot of people. And so do you watching this right now. So act as if your life matters. Act as if you matter. Act as if all of this matters in everyday life, because it does. And if enough people do that, we might be able to make this world a better place and stop bitching and complaining and moaning about why it's so bad. I can't stand that. When people start talking about how bad everything is, I'm like, what are you doing to make it better? Honestly, next time somebody starts just bitching about how bad we have everything, just say, okay, yeah, I agree. What are you doing personally on a day-to-day basis to make it better? I'm like, well, it's not me, it's all them. It's like, if they do it right, then I would do it right too. No, it doesn't work that way. They are us and we are them. If we do it right, world gets better, right? So maybe one day we'll have a talk on that. The next one is, purpose is often found in service to others. If you're really stuck in yourself right now, today, this week, this month, just go do some stuff for other people. There's some honor in that. There's some power in it. And based on the words of Mahatma Gandhi, you don't even have to read this one, because I believe it is the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service to others. You know, maybe go with your family down to the soup kitchen and someone cares soup kitchen and serve 250 homeless people meals today. And on the way back, start talking to each other about life. Maybe go to an animal shelter that, you know, there's hundreds of animals that have just been like abandoned by their owners as if they don't matter. And when you go back and you look at your own dog and you look at your own cat and just say, man, fuck, dude, what's wrong with people? I'm so grateful that I get to love on people and go help those animals out. You know, next time you are really stuck in your own self and you feel just such a pity party for yourself, go somewhere in an after school program that the kids don't have nobody to help them with homework, and help them with simple stuff. And on your way home to your own kids, just say, man, like, I can see why my kids are doing so much better than them, and they don't have nothing. You know, and it's not to go put them down. If anything, you're going to help them, to lift them up, but to understand that we lose perspective. And that's a sad thing when it happens. We lose sight of our purpose. The next one that we have here is, I think, the last one. It says, connect your purpose with your legacy. So the legacy is a powerful thing when it comes to human species. And the question that is posed here when we're talking about legacy is always the following. Ready for the question? It's, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered? And I can't answer that question for you, you know, but I will tell you this: what you do in a moment by moment interaction with your world, as of this moment we're talking, is meticulously and comprehensively filling out the pages in the story of that legacy. Even if you don't like the previous chapters, just like any movie, just like any book, it builds one after another. And ultimately you think, what do I want this to say at the end? Like, if my life was a book, will it be worth reading? If my life was a movie, will it be worth watching? If I am the main character of this book, of this movie, who do I want to be? What do I want to represent? What type of an impact do I want to have on the reader, on the viewer, on the audience? See, nobody else is going to create that but yourself. So why not create the best version of it as possible. And here's the thing. When you identify what your legacy is at the end, how you want to be remembered, it gives you a step-by-step reverse way of how to get there. Because if I know the ending, it's like knowing the last part of a road trip destination, and you reverse engineer it to the starting point, you figure out how to get there. So explore the ending. It's not morbid. It's not scary. It's reality. Explore the ending. Find out what you want it to look like, what it means to you. And if something you're going through in life right now is not going to be in there in the end, if something you're stressing about doesn't matter at the end, stop stressing about it. Shit doesn't matter. It's not a part of your life. It's not reality. It's just something they're throwing in your way to distract you from your purpose. So all that being said, the only reason I'm getting off right now is because I need some water, man. I just rambled straight for 40 minutes. I go back and watch this or send it to somebody that can benefit from it. Do that for me. I hope that you found some value in it. And Lance, I think you said something. Yeah, a simple smile to a stranger can change their whole day, if not their whole outlook on life. And you know what? Being that person that gives that simple smile to that person does something for self too. Even though you're not doing it for that. I'm not going to smile at someone with leave them and say, oh, now I'm going to feel better about myself. But the fact that you know that you smiled and you radiated that positive energy to someone else, that's going to go radiate to someone else. And you have a part in this whole changing vibration of this human species, right? And it feels good. And by the way, the more you do it, the more it becomes your personality and your character trait, who you are, your identity. So, man, this was great. I hope you found some value in it. I love and appreciate all of you. Until next week, adios. Bye, everyone.